do with these is start off with some good stories. I get daily Google alerts based on the search phrase direct support professional. And one that really impressed me that came in last week is the story of a DSP from Little City. One of their residents contracted COVID-19. This young man, who's only been a DSP for a year, volunteered to go into quarantine and stay with this individual, which to me is just, it's remarkable in many regards, and yet perhaps it's not all that remarkable since we see so many selfless acts delivered by DSPs. So, John?
Actually featured in the Chicago Tribune talking about how critical this is. Another story that we wanted to share with you just as we start thinking about this, and this is from a different field entirely. Imagine that you have 26,000 people that you served, and you want to figure out how to stay in touch with them. 26,000. That is how many students the Phoenix school system has. And their superintendent and leadership team got together and said, you know, it's not enough that we're doing distance learning. It's not enough that we are trying to stay in touch through our webpage and everything we're doing. We should be finding out how our students and their families are doing. They then enrolled all of their staff, 2,500 staff, teachers, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, janitors, administrative staff, gave them each 10 students to call every day. Not once a week, not twice a week, every day. And the script was really simple. It was introducing them. How are you doing? How is your family doing? Is there anything we can do to help? Now, they found that there was 20% of the students, they realized they didn't have good phone numbers for them. So how would they be getting online learning? And so they kept working on it. In the news report, the superintendent said one of the unintended byproducts of this, and again, the superintendent called 10 families himself, but everybody called 10 people. What they found out of this is the staff themselves found a new purpose in connecting with the folks that were part of their school. And they found students wanting to meet this janitor or bus driver that they've never met, or a teacher from a totally different classroom or building that they felt they were concerned about them. And instead of finding resistance from staff, they were glad about giving the opportunity to make these connections. And they said, everybody can make 10 calls. And they built a simple little web portal to say, if there's an emergency, here's where you put it. If you find somebody that needs food and they're not taking advantage of our food distribution, let us know. So there was a way to turn it into action, but a great way to think about what people will do. And the superintendent said, it made such a difference with our staff. And he said, I really probably underestimated how much our staff cared at all levels of the organization. Great. Craig, I'm going to turn it back to you on another one that we received.
Yeah, another one. Comes from our friends at the Licking County Board of DD. Obviously, high school seniors this year are not having their normal graduation ceremonies. And there was a young graduate who has been working at one of the providers through Licking County Board as a DSP. So they surprised her with a caravan of people from the provider where she's working and the county board to celebrate her graduation. She actually wound up putting on a cap and gown, came out there with streamers, the whole 9 yards. She was shocked. And while she said that obviously it was a little bit of a disappointment not walking across the stage to grab her diploma, as the way all of us have done in our past, She was so moved and said this is something she will remember forever. It's another example how the things that we do, any expression of gratitude toward DSPs makes a difference, because you can be pretty sure this young woman is going to stay in this field for a long time. Scott?
And just to add to what Craig said a few moments ago, we get these Google alerts on direct support professional related stories. And in the past, so many of them have been negative and focused on challenges and the pay. And obviously the pay deserves to be more. But we've been so encouraged in this time of crisis that we're seeing more and more good news and tremendous stories of people stepping up. And we'd love to see more of that. And it's an opportunity for you, because I think Frank Blake said it best. And if you're not familiar with him, he's the former CEO of Home Depot. And in numerous interviews, when he's asked about organizational culture, he doesn't talk about things you might expect. You know, Home Depot, obviously, they can throw as many millions of dollars at a problem as they want. That's not what he talked about. Instead, he said, how do you get people working in your organization to understand what you want? The most powerful way to do that is to celebrate them when you catch them doing that. That's a lot of what we're seeing in the news right now. Frank Blake, his story, he continues that, he went out on the floor of various Home Depot locations, put on the orange apron, worked side by side with their associates to learn their challenges and see the great things that were happening, so that on the weekends he could go back home and he would handwrite dozens and dozens of thank you cards and send them to people. And he said he realized it was having a tremendous impact when he came back to a store that he had visited before, and there was an associate that he had written a thank you note for. The associate came up to him and said, Mr. Blake, you had written me a thank you note in the past, and I really appreciate it, but could you write me another? And Frank looked at the person and said, wait a minute, I'm a little confused here. What happened? And they sheepishly admitted that their coworkers had said, there's no way the CEO of Home Depot is taking the time and handwriting this thing. It's just computer printed. It looks like it's handwriting. Put it under water. The ink won't smudge, won't smear. It'll be totally fine. The employee did this, put it under water, and all the ink ran and it was destroyed. But it meant so much to the person that they wanted another to hold on to. So how can you celebrate the people in your organization that you catch doing amazing things? Now, we're done a few minutes early. Please don't feel the need to scatter. We're happy to stick around, chat with you, open discussion, kind of after hours, just conversation. We want to hear from you. What would you like to chat about? How can we help you? What would you like to talk about in more depth in future sessions? And before we jump to that, just wanted to share an opportunity with you. Craig and I are hosting a webinar on hiring better DSPs despite COVID-19. That's on Wednesday, May 27th, week from today at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I'll put the link in chat. It's totally free registration. If you can't attend, but you're interested, we've got you covered. We're going to record it and we'll share that with people who can't attend. So happy to stick around and chat. Feel free to unmute yourselves.